In response to our quick tip 139, which was about getting a thin line with a wide watercolor brush, one of our oil painting viewers asked, well, how can you do that with oil? So let's see how that would work. I always say that watercolor is more akin to making pottery than it is to painting, because the whole process has to do with the water itself, but oil is something different. Now oil and acrylic and gouache pretty much all work the same way. We can use our brushes in the same way for working with all three of those. But unlike watercolor, with oils, the idea is to not have to change brushes and to be able to do all sorts of things with a single brush, including making a thin line, or at least that's what I like to do, because I hate to change brushes. So I like to get as many things as I can out of one brush. So I found that the flat brush in oil and in acrylic and gouache, the flat brush does a better job for making a thin line or a thin-ish line than does an oval brush or any of the others. And so we have, or I have, basically three different kinds of flat brushes. This is the old-fashioned hog bristle brush. It doesn't work that great for making the straight line, however, it is possible. Now these two are both made by Rosemary and Company. This one is called the Rosemary Ivory, and it's a synthetic and it's really, really stiff. Does a pretty good job making a really thin line. However, for an all-purpose brush and all the other things that I like for a brush to do in a painting, it's a little bit limited. My favorite brush, and everybody can go out and request this for Christmas or something, my favorite brush is also made by Rosemary, and it's the Series 274 flat. And the reason I like that for making the straight line is that it has some flexibility, but it has control at the same time. So you will probably be able to figure how to make your favorite flat brush make a straight line once I show you the mechanics of making a straight line. Now before we get into it, in oil, if we want a straight line in a painting, we will already have paint on the canvas, unlike watercolor. And so I'm just going to throw some paint on the canvas that we can work with, just to show you the techniques. This is all technical. This particular quick tip is pure technique, whereas so many of them have to do with both technique and composition. But this one is just pure technique. As usual, I'm not going to try to do a painting of any kind. Just wanted to get enough paint here to show you how the technique works. So we'll use this little portion right here. Now that's the wet. I do want to say, in order to do the straight line with oil or acrylic or gouache, it works better if it goes wet on wet. Going wet on dry is just it drags too much. It doesn't work as well. All right, so the first thing is to have the brush really good and loaded with paint. Now, and to do that, well, I'm going into a lighter color here. So I like to really work that brush in the paint when I see I need the straight line, and get the whole brush thoroughly loaded with paint. And here's the reason for that, so that I can then pull the excess out and be able to draw that by pulling the brush against the palette. Draw that to a really, really sharp tip. There's the first clue. Otherwise, the bristles in the brush are going to splay out, and it's not going to work as well. So now I'll pick up just a little bit more paint. The other thing is arm action. When going for the straight line, now I believe in the watercolor we used the straight line we used grasses. Let me say that differently. We used the image of grasses to illustrate what the straight line could do. So So we were moving upward like that. You could also move down like this to make a straight line. Now what I'll be doing as I'm moving down, let me show you what parts of the brush I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working on this corner right here. Not this corner. If I have it tilted up like this coming down, then I'm working on the corner on the top. If I'm coming up with the brush, I'm working with the corner on the bottom. So that's kind of counterintuitive, but it does work very well. Alright, so if I'm coming down to make the straight line, there it is. Now notice also there was arm action. If you try that with the wrist like that, the straight line is probably going to be crooked or curved, or you're not going to have the flexibility. So it needs to be an arm action that comes all the way from the shoulder as you come down. So you can, it's probably it is a good idea to continue to load the brush and then pull it flat, just like you see me doing here. Pull it flat. Now let me do another one. There we go. Another one. There we go. Now let's go from the bottom. Oh, we can go from the side. We can go either way. Let's go from the top up, like that. Or if you go from the side, you're always working on the tip that is, you turn the brush at an angle like that, and you're always working on the tip that is nearest you or behind the brush. So if you're going from the side, see, you'd go something like that. So you see that you can do all kinds of things with with this flat brush. All kinds of you're in the middle of the painting and you're making other images, and you need to make some twigs, or you need to make some fence posts, or you need to make any kind of image that would require a straight line. Then you've got that capability. You don't have to stop and reach for a different brush. Now I do want to show you, while I'm doing this demonstration, I do want to show you the difference in how this brush, this is my Rosemary 274, I do want to show you the difference in how it behaves and how the Rosemary Ivory behaves. Let's say, to do that, let's just get rid of this and just have us let's have a clean surface, you might say, in order to show you this. Alright, so this is the Rosemary Ivory, and it's a synthetic flat. There are a number of synthetic flats on the market. Try to say that one fast. There's another number of those on the market, and I don't have experience with all of those, but my guess is that they will all work pretty much the same thing, same way. But the thing is, it's got to be loaded with paint. If you have it just on the tip of the brush without having paint inside to hold the bristles together, it's going to splay. It's not going to work. And it doesn't really matter what color the paint is on the inside, but it's a good idea just to kind of work it. See, kind of I'm working it here. Kind of work that brush into that paint, and then pull off the excess, like I've done there. And now we'll load it, and we'll load it on both sides. Load it by pulling it down like this, and then we'll see what this one does. You see, that makes a really, really nice thin straight line. So this is actually, this brush actually makes a thinner line than the other one. However, as I said before, well, if you get used to painting with this brush, it can do all kinds of things for you too. But you see, you don't need a rigger, and you don't need any kind of specialty brush that's especially built for doing straight lines. All you need is a good flat brush, and then the technique of loading it, which plays into that. So important, regardless of which one you're using, important, first of all, get the bristles absolutely saturated with paint. That's absolutely necessary. And then load both sides. Pull it against the palette like that. Then the next step, and if you get that too thick, it's not going to work. Then the next step is going to be arm action, not wrist action. If you do wrist action, well, you can get short little lines, but the arm action is going to give you arm action is going to give you much more control. Or you can even hold it like this. You hold it the way that feels more comfortable for you. So you see there, it is possible to get a wonderful straight, wonderful thin line with a flat brush. So did you find this quick tip helpful? If you did, you might have something that you'd like for me to do a quick tip on. Some question you have, some problem you're having with painting, just leave a comment right down here and we'll put it on the schedule. And also you might check our website, dianemise.com, for our full-length video tutorials. Whole lot of stuff there that includes all kinds of ways to use the brush, ways to use color, composing techniques, the whole works. Give it a try. And there's your quick tip.